So are you thinking about leaving your 9 to 5 job and becoming self-employed in your midlife so that you've got more freedom and you feel like you've got more purpose in your job? If so, you are going to love today's video. I'm going to share with you 5 mindset shifts which will actually either make or break your success. I made a video last week and it went a little bit loony and so many comments on there. So I'm answering some of the questions today. And if you didn't see that last video, you might go back and check it. But if we haven't met before, I'm Lindsay and I help midlife women to reinvent themselves and to build a whole new incredible chapter. And one of those things, of course, is figuring out what you're going to do for work and what you're going to do to bring in some money. So in that last video, I shared some ways that I have found, and the questions that came through, I was like, hold on a minute, just wind it back in. Let's look at actually, it's not just about what you're going to do, but there is a whole kind of mindset shift that you need to do in order to even be in the right place to make that jump. Okay, so 5 steps. If you didn't go and see that video before, it might be worth going to have a look now so you've got the faintest idea of what I'm talking about. But saying that, today this is all about the mindset and the mindset that you need in order to make that jump. Because it's not just about what you do. Because if it was just about the money, guess what? You'd probably stay doing what you're doing. But it's not about the money. So a little bit of the background. The background is you've probably outgrown what you're doing. You've outgrown that way of thinking. You've outgrown being told what to do by people. You've outgrown wanting to or being okay with having all of your time determined, the schedule determined. And you probably want to start actually managing your own time and really making a go of it on your own. But if you don't get your mindset right, chances are you'll never make the jump. Okay, so I'll be looking over my notes like I always do. There are 5 mindset shifts that have really helped me, but also are essential. Moving from an organized structure, which is kind of, the establishment that we were brought up in to work in as being the safety zone. And now you want to effectively, you could say, throw it all away, throw all the safety away and go out on your own, which in some ways of thinking is a complete lunatic thing to do. Yet there's something inside you going, oh my God, I just want to throw it all away and start again. If that's you, there is certain mindset thinking. I'm going to challenge you to say, the safety that is perceived, so many people think working for a company or an establishment is the safe zone. Now, the fact is, do you have any control over your future? Do you have any control over your promotion? Do you have any control about your redundancy package if they make you redundant at the drop of a hat? Are you sitting in the board meetings knowing where that company is going? Chances are, unless obviously you're the COO, in which case that's a different conversation, but chances are you're not, in which case you're completely at the mercy of somebody else. And if you don't have any other income streams coming from anywhere else, that to me is risky. And when you can have a side gig, side hustle, something like that, it gives you another option. Now you might go, oh yeah, well, that's not for me, or nobody makes any money doing that. First of all, that's not true, because people do make money doing it. Not everybody makes money doing it, but not everybody makes money doing anything. We're all cut out for different things. And when you can play to your strengths, you can get such purpose and such meaning in your work that even if you've taken a slight pay cut, it's worth it. And trust me, that's been my experience. When I first came back to England with my daughter in 2022, I started working with a friend in the recruitment in the corporate environment. And I promise you, and I was working for a friend, so nothing personal, because I really appreciated it and it was what I needed for the, security of it. But the sooner I could get out and start doing my own thing, the better. I wanted to manage my own time. I wanted to be able to do things with my daughter. I also wanted to be able to meet people. And if I was sitting behind my desk the whole time, I couldn't do that. Anyway, so that's a different story. But basically, working for a business or an organisation, especially in these times, it's not as safe as you might think. Not wanting to be a scaremonger, that's not my bag. But, okay, the second mindset, so let's just name that, shall we? So that first mindset is not as secure as you think. Going out on your own or having a side gig, side hustle, it will actually be your security blanket for the future. Very often when you're working in a company, there is very little scope to make mistakes or to figure stuff out. You're kind of employed because you can do a role and they expect you to be able to do that role and, to follow the tried and tested steps and you follow the routine and you do as you're expected to do. The difference when you go out on your own is very much about, there is an element of you've got to figure it out, you've got to trust your intuition, you've got to learn some new skills, you've got to learn some new ways of thinking about things. But that's the joy of it, that you get to do all of those things as well. And as you learn all of those things, you learn so much about who you are, you gain your personal trust in yourself, you become a different version of you. You kind of become a more grown up almost version of you, because you've got to think on your own 2 feet. So that's the second thing. It really makes you expand your thinking to know that it's okay to fail and it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to work your way through it and to come out eventually with what does work. Because when you find that answer of what does work, it's because it works for you. Who else do you want it to work for if you're self-employed? So that's 2 of them. The third one is having to get permission, needing permission. When you work for yourself, you don't need permission from anybody. And that can be one of the scariest things. The biggest thing that underpins all of it is you get to choose. And while you get to choose, that can actually be really frightening, but it can also be hugely empowering. But that's probably what your soul's yearning for. If you're fed up with an organisation, you're fed up with the structure and the time and all the rest of it, what you're probably yearning for is the freedom to choose. You choose when you work, how hard you work, how you communicate with people, how you put yourself out there, whether you go on social media, whether you don't go on social media, which social media you go on, what you say. There's no following, the company brand guidelines. You get to choose. And in fact, you can make your own brand. You make your own guidelines. You get to choose. Do you show up with makeup on? Do you show up with your hair done? Do you show up in your sweatpants? That's up to you. And that's the joy of it. So that's the third one. Now, the fourth one is I've got to work the hours. I've got to put in the hours. And if I put in the hours, then I'll get the money. And if I make that money, I might get a commission on the top, or I have to do some overtime. But if I put in the hours, that's how I'm going to get successful. I'm going to work harder. What about if you can work smarter? And when I say working smarter, I don't mean like, doing all of the sort of the time management techniques. And that's not what I mean, although they're pretty helpful, I have to say, because when you start working on your own, your time just goes, whoa, and you kind of have to rein it all in. But it's about changing how you think about it. The more you think about going out on your own, the more you think, what value do I have to offer? How can I help people? Because the more value you offer and the more you help people to solve their problems, the more money you'll make. Because that's what this is about. Money is an exchange of energy and people will pay to get their problems solved. That's why in the guide that I sent out after that last video, if you haven't got that guide, you might want to sign up for it. I'll put the link in the show notes. So when you're thinking about what you're going to do next, you might ask, well, what do I know? How do I add value? What have I got to teach anybody? How can I solve anybody else's problems? Okay, let's just look back. What have you done? What have you navigated through? What have you learned to do that other people find complicated? What inherent skills have you got? What experience have you got? What profession have you had? I promise you, you've got value. I promise you that you have value and you can help people. And all of those things you can get paid to do. Now, the difficult part is you might need to learn some skills. Actually, that's not even the difficult part. You might need to learn some skills so that you know how to communicate with people, that you've got these skills and that you can help them with their problem they want to solve. But until you've got that right in your head, you won't put yourself out there. Because nobody would. Because if you don't think that you've got anything of value to offer and you don't think you can help anybody, then you will never expect to get paid and you will never expect to make money. And if that's the case, then you know what, just stay employed, because until you've got that mindset that you believe you can help people and you believe that you deserve money for doing it, there is no point going self-employed, because it will just be a very, very hard journey. And I've seen so many people doing it, and I've fallen in and out of it as well over the years, over many, many years of being self-employed. That's number 4. And then number 5, and this is my favourite trap, because so many people in natural healing, which is what I've been in for 20 years, is that I don't know enough, I need another certification. The fact is, you do know enough, and if you're called to be doing something, probably the only thing that you need to do is to bridge the gap or learn the skills of how to put yourself out there. If you've got a modality, whether, I don't know, whether you're like a yoga teacher, you do Reiki, you're a nutritionist, you're a gym instructor, whatever, all of that stuff, I bet with what you know already, you can help people already. And those skills will grow over time. The more people you help, the more you learn, the more, you upskill what you're doing. But I promise you, what you know already, if you're drawn and if you're thinking about that's what I think I want to do for business, I promise you, you've already got enough to get started, because you only help people with where you're at. It's like I wouldn't be going out and talking to CEOs saying I'm going to teach you how to run your business, because that's not my bag at all. What I can do is help people to reinvent themselves and start over again and look at new self-employment opportunities, because I've done that. I've walked that path and I know how to help people. That's the value that I'm offering, is to say, look, I have done this. I have left a marriage. I have moved country. I have started multiple businesses. Some of them failed, some of them not so failed. Now I'm going red. Had to take a quick break there. I was having a hot flush. Oh, I love this audience. So, back to the point. You have enough skills to teach what it is that you want to teach and to get started. As I say, the gap that you might need to bridge is learning the skills that you don't already have, that you don't know how to do, so that you can help people with what you do know how to do. Does that make sense? For example, the biggest journey for me getting into this, having been a practitioner of 20 years anyway, of NLP, hypnosis, and mindset and confidence coaching, the thing that I needed to do was to learn how to use social media so that I can actually let anybody know. In the olden days, I used to go to networking meetings and talk to people over a cup of tea and whatever. But that's not the case now. The case now is being on social media is the opportunity to not have to go to, countless network meetings. Although saying that, they're quite fun to go to occasionally, but not to have to go to all the time. So that's kind of one of the advantages that we get now. So, the other advantages, without going off on too much of a tangent, the other advantages that we get now is you can use AI. You can use AI for so much stuff. If there's stuff you don't know how to do, AI is always there to help you. You used to have a copywriter and stuff. You don't need that. You've got AI. You used to have to, if you need to write a business plan, do it through AI. And when I say AI, I use ChatGPT and I use the free version, and it serves me really, really well. So that's one of the skills that you may already be using. But again, how can you use that? How can you use those resources to help you? Now, to learn the actual platforms and everything, that's the stuff that you might want to bridge the gap on. But the biggest skill that you're going to have to learn is to get your mindset in the right place. And once you've got your mindset in the right place, then you're on a road to a winner. I promise you, the biggest challenge that will stop you leaving the 9 to 5, because you could leave any time, the biggest challenge you'll face is whether you think you can or you can't. Isn't it Henry Ford who said that? Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. I don't know, is it Henry Ford? I don't know. Einstein? Some smart dude. Said, yeah, if you can or you can't, you're right. And that's exactly the case. So I hope those 5 mindset kind of shifts are going to help you to actually make that move. So there's a couple of things I mentioned. First of all, there was a video, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch that video about what I've done to leave my old job and to reinvent myself. And then also the guide that you can download, and the link will be in the notes. And if you also go and listen to the podcast, there are countless stories of women who have done this. And it's about how they had to get over their mindset blocks and to think differently so that they could fulfill their dreams and build that next chapter of, many of them, for a career they never imagined that it'd be their wildest dream, and that's now what they're doing. So thanks for being here, thanks for staying, great to see you, and please drop more comments, drop more questions. Absolutely loved answering all of your questions from the last video, so keep them coming. Okay, see ya, bye.